Windows 11 is finally here, and there's a lot of new features and kind of both subtle and big upgrades that you should know about. So we're going to be covering all the secrets, at least that I think are a priority, especially for my audience, in today's episode of Windows 11 Tips and Tricks. Hope you're ready, because we've had a lot of videos, and if you missed them, there's a playlist link in the description. We've covered pretty much everything you may want or need to know about Windows 11 down there. First and foremost, despite saying that the Windows Snipping Tool might be going away in the past, they appear to have upgraded it. So it has a little bit of improved feature set and settings and things like that. So if you are unaware of the Snipping Tool, you can either hit Start and type it in and find it, or Windows plus Shift plus S will give you the upgraded, this is basically the upgraded version of print screen. And this is super useful because there's a lot of apps that, especially if they're running as admin, where print screen doesn't work, when Shift S does. This is a screenshotting tool that is really powerful, akin to Lightshot or ShareX or GreenShare or Yazo. You're able to create a screenshot either by drawing a rectangle, choosing a specific window, which is really nice, or freeform, or doing full screen. You can set up delays for your screenshots as well. And then once you have taken your screenshot, it opens up in a window and you can draw on it, you can highlight, you can crop, you can do all sorts of stuff and save it out or copy it to the clipboard. If you go over to the settings, you have options for automatically copying to the clipboard, automatically saving to a specific location. You can have it automatically open each snip in different windows, or the same window. By default, it'll just open it up in the notification center, so you can edit it from there, and otherwise it just defaults to your clipboard. You can also have it set to add an outline to your screenshots as well, which could be useful for embedding on websites and things like that. You also have the ability to bind the snipping tool to your print screen shortcut in case you just want to go ahead and replace the normal screenshot tool entirely, which is pretty neat. Next up, we have the display information panel in your system settings. So they've given the system settings for Windows overall like an entire overhaul, and we'll talk about a few of those differences. But one specific interest is that it has more information that it can gather about your computer monitor or display, including, if you have HDR support, the maximum brightness measured in nits that your display supports, which can be useful for kind of troubleshooting HDR purposes, as well as making sure HDR is working on its own, or that you have the right working HDMI cable and things like that, which is pretty cool. There's a completely upgraded and overhauled sound control panel for adjusting your microphones, your speakers, and things like that, which give you full control over the frequencies, the stereo channels, the inputs and outputs. You can also open up the volume mixer to change specific programs to different outputs and all of that. It's all kind of integrated nicely and neatly, but if you do need to access the old school sound control panel, you can still do so by going to more audio settings, which is pretty cool that you have both, but you no longer need the old school one before like you still did in Windows 10. Winget is a powerful command line package manager for Windows, akin to package managers you'd find on Linux distros, that allow you to search for and install various applications directly from their sources rather than having to manually go and download everything, which means you can set up automated installs of your most used programs whenever you install Windows for the first time on a new machine, deploy, multiple computers, all sorts of really neat stuff. There's a cool video from Level 1 Text kind of explaining the value and the importance of this. I will have linked below, but it ships with Windows 11 and it's pretty sick. Speech-to-text dictation now has auto punctuation, so you can access that menu by hitting the Windows key and H, and then when you're typing in Notepad or Word or something like that, you can speak, assuming it has access to your microphone, and dictate your text, and now it has an auto punctuation option, which it did not have in Windows 10, which is pretty neat. Task View and the virtual desktop functionality has received a huge upgrade. You can create as many virtual desktops as you want. You can rename them, change the order, change the backgrounds on a per virtual desktop basis, as well as set up snap groups of different window layouts and things like that you can move between displays as well, which is incredible. They've also upgraded window snapping in general to have more control over where your windows go and more settings that you can control in terms of the snapping behavior, as well as the snap groups in the first place. Also, it remembers your Windows layout when you're plugging and unplugging displays, which has been a huge frustration since like the Windows Vista days. They have finally seemingly fixed it, and it's pretty cool. There's a secret start menu. If you're unaware, this has been around for a little while, but it's more, I guess you could say, something a little more handy to have in Windows 11, where if you click the start button, obviously you have your start menu, but if you right click it now, which I think was previously locked behind Windows X, you now have a secondary start menu, which allows you to quickly access things like device manager, network connections, disk management, all that jazz. And it can be really handy to just right click your start menu and access. During some of the Windows 10 Insider stuff, they were trying to test adding tabs to the command prompt, to Notepad, to Explorer, things like that. Unfortunately, Windows 11 did not launch with these, but they did for one specific application, and actually it's really cool. And that is the new Windows Terminal. So you still have your default command prompt. If you just launch CMD, it'll launch the normal command prompt. But now you have the Windows Terminal, which by default just launches the command prompt, but you have tabs and more control over fonts and things like that, which is already super handy if you manage multiple command prompt windows at the same time. But then you can add other terminals to this. So for example, you can install PowerShell and have command prompt running on one tab, PowerShell running on the other. And then if you install any of the Windows Subsystem for Linux operating systems, you can then have an Ubuntu Bash terminal in a tab, PowerShell in a tab, command prompt in a tab, and you can keep just kind of expanding it and having a ton of functionality. So if you're interested in scripting and running command line interface, applications or doing automation stuff, you have a lot of power available here compared to Windows 10. Speaking of the Windows Subsystem for Linux, it has a couple upgrades specific to Windows 11 as well. Once you've installed your first Linux distro in the subsystem, you get a special file explorer location within Windows Explorer that shows the actual mounted storage drive for that virtual installation of your Linux distro. So I have a Linux little file explorer section here, which has my root drive for Ubuntu here. And then beyond that, you also get access to WSLG, or the graphical user interface supported option in Windows 11 as well, which means you can install GUI based apps and you can launch them from the Windows Start menu, and they just show up next to normal windows as if they're just a native Windows program, which is really freaking cool. Getting a bunch of videos out like this for a specific, launch like Windows 11 is a lot of work, and I can't publish them all on the same day so you can actually watch them all at once, which I would like to do, but YouTube's notifications and algorithms and stuff don't really allow for that. That's why I've built my own video streaming site with my creator friends that allow me to not have to deal with a lot of that stuff. The site is called Nebula, and we've partnered with CuriosityStream. Nebula features YouTube's top education creators such as MKBHD, Thomas Frank, and Low Spec Gamer. My videos are higher quality, they're ad-free, and often extended from the YouTube versions, and sometimes significantly earlier when I'm doing a bunch of videos at once like this. CuriosityStream saw what we were doing for educational content and wanted to form an educational documentary power alliance, where we worked out a deal with the link in the description below, where if you sign up for CuriosityStream, you get access to their library of thousands of educational and documentary titles, but you also get access to Nebula for free for the entire duration of your subscription to CuriosityStream. They're also offering a 26% off their annual plan deal, making it less than $15 per year for both CuriosityStream and Nebula, which is just kind of bonkers. While you're there, check out Secrets of the Brain to learn about how the brain works and to see a neuroscientist go and study a bunch of unique neurological conditions, which I found really informative and just kind of interesting. Like we focus on education and teaching a lot here, but learning how the brain works is kind of a big meta part of education as well. Head on over to curiositystream.com/epos for the best deal in streaming and sign up for under $15 per year for both sites. It's crazy. Just do it. Microsoft To-Do List seems to be a really powerful application for managing to-do lists, task lists, things, calendar reminders, all of that, and it syncs across your Windows devices, which is really powerful, and it integrates even with the widgets bar and things like that on Windows 11 as well. So it runs as a dedicated app, and you get the notifications on your calendar, and you can sync it up with Outlook and things like that, and you can add it to the widgets bar as well if you use that, which is really neat. There you go, 11 feature upgrades for Windows 11 that you should know about that I think will make your life a lot easier when using the new Windows operating system. Is there any secrets or new upgrades or features that you've found out about Windows 11 that you want me to know about? Let me know in the comment section or over on our Discord at discord.gg/EposVox. Hit the like button, check out the playlist link for all of my other Windows 11 related videos, and remember, be kind, rewind.